pilgrims. Welcome again to the Way to Your Wife podcast. We have here another person to be interviewed that she has walked the Camino de Santiago. Her name is Patricia. So we're going to be talking to her today. So welcome, Patricia. Thank you for accepting our invitation to the Way to Your Wife podcast. So how are
Of
you doing
course.
today?
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just very happy that you wanted me to share my experience with the Camino. I'm very well, thank you.
Okay. So first, what I would like to ask you, how did you find out about the Camino de Santiago?
Okay, so this is something that you always have like on in the back of your mind. You
Okay.
see it on movies, you hear about it. It's like part of the culture, at least the culture that I move in. So it's something that, was always there that we wanted, my husband and I wanted to do. And it happens that we're very outdoors people, and we like hiking. Well, my husband is a marathon runner. I run half marathons, so we have it as a life plan to do treks. So Camino was one of the several trekkings that we wanted to do.
Okay. And what was the Camino that you decided to walk?
So they call it the French part of the French route, although our route, whatever we did, was all already in Galicia.
Okay.
We chose the date because we have our own business, so we try to fit our escapades along, around our
Okay.
business schedule. So we had, I think, 2 weeks, and we just decided to do. I think it was 1 week that we walked to Santiago,
Okay.
and then we rested for a day, and we decided to walk, I think, 3 more days
Okay.
to Finisterre. So
Okay.
we did all the route, to the end of the known world at the time.
Yeah, yeah. That's a fantastic area. So the
Fantastic.
views from there are amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then so you see for me at least happened when I was there that when you go to the top and you're on the rocks and you see the ocean at some point because it's far away and you're very high, it feels like you see the world is round at the,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for us it was very climatic because we found the route very easy walking. A lot of people had told us, oh, there's some cliffs or some. We found it like it was very, very benign. So when you reach Finisterra, oh my God, it's like the nature is so in your face there
yeah.
that it's really wild, really beautiful.
Absolutely. And when you walk, probably you started walking your French Camino from Saria, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And how were the hotels or the location where you stay during those
Okay.
days of walking?
If I, could recommend anything, is just to stay in small inns. We stayed whenever we chose a hotel,
Okay.
we were not happy. Not because the rooms were bad or anything. No, they were perfectly fine. The hotels were great,
Okay.
but we missed being in the small wooden and rock inns that the local owner will cook for you and will serve you dinner, and you invite him over to sit with you at the table, and it helps if you speak Spanish, of course, because then you can have a very good conversation with the owner about the life of the locals. So
Okay.
you miss that when you go to a hotel.
Okay. And did you do your booking by yourself, or you have someone that did the booking for you?
No, we did the booking because we had, friends from Venezuela and from Spain
Okay.
that had, done the Camino close to the date where we were going. So
Okay.
they had all the information, and we picked and chose from what they told us. And then the other thing is that we hired like a taxi service,
Okay.
because I didn't want to carry anything. I'm
Okay.
used to not carrying anything, like when we climbed Kilimanjaro, you have porters. We did
Okay.
the Inca Trail, you have porters. So
Okay.
I'm used to carrying like a walking stick.
Okay.
And so I was, I didn't want to carry a day pack, but I think that if you're young, even if you're not that young, I'm 70 years old, so I did this when I was 65.
Okay.
If you're in good health, you can carry a day pack and you don't have to hire this taxi service. And the only thing this person did is that I would pack my little bag and
Okay.
leave it, and the guy would pick it up and
Okay.
drive it I would give him the address of the next place where we were staying the next night, and
Okay.
he would drop it off there. It's really, everything is like so well organized.
Okay.
I think that the country has realized, or the region has realized, that this is an important revenue stream, that they really have it really well organized, and people are very, very helpful. So it really was very smooth.
Yeah. So what I've been learning through all these podcasts that I've been having is that there are one of the episodes that probably is going to be like a 5 chapter before this one. Uh, then where I interview a nephew from a priest that his the priest that his name was Elias Baliña, and he was the priest that starting recovering what the Camino de Santiago was in
Oh,
in
wow.
the 80s. He what he started and his work was he said that around the 80s, so the Camino de Santiago was abandoned. And talking about the French Camino close to the Ocebreiro area, that's
Right.
Prior's area. And he said that he wanted to start making the signals, the signalization, and all that around the area. And they didn't know what to do, but his nephew, that's the one that I interviewed, he was helping at that time. He was like 10 years old at that time. And they decided that the color of the arrow for the pilgrims not to get lost should be yellow. And then you see now it's yellow. And he did all that work. He was not able to see what he did because he passed away on I believe that at the end of
Um,
1989 or something like that. But all that happened that you see now that there are the poles with the yellow arrow and all that is because
I
the
tell
work that he initiated.
They did a great job. I mean, there's no way you can get lost. I mean, this is like so well, demarcated, or I don't know, the signs are just so clear and so well positioned. It's really fabulous. Really, really fabulous.
Yes, and I also was talking yesterday with another person that I interviewed that was in Valencia, and he is the president of the Pilgrims Association there in Valencia. And he was telling me that it's also because of the law. Now the caminos have to be with all their signals where
Oh,
to go and all
wow.
that.
That's
Because
amazing.
they call like I believe it's CR means Camino Regional. So then because of the law they have to be, because they just not use it for the Camino de Santiago. People also work for other, the local people work around the areas as well.
Right, right, right.
So that they did something very good at the 40 years ago, and now we are seeing that. And
No,
about
it's
that,
terrific. And you can see that it has revitalized the local economy and made it, I mean, you can see it, the derived business from people coming to do the Camino. Absolutely.
yes, and then so nowadays, so there, if you get lost, it's because you were not paying attention. You were talking with somebody or doing something
I
else that it's really difficult to get lost.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. And then the other thing, talking about the different, because you were talking about that you miss some of the hotel with those nice stone rocks and all that.
Yes.
Uh, well, so what people usually do is also that they rely in a travel agency that have their experience of they know the local market and they know all those little hotels that I was this last year I was in two of them that were really really nice, and one was of one of the house of the old priest long time ago, and they cooked for us so amazing the
Right.
food that we had. And then we were in another one that is called a rectoral, and then they when we arrived there, we were with the friends, and those friends were not staying with us. But the owner of the hotel, he say, "Well, I'm gonna take your friends to their hotel that were far away from this hotel. Then I'm gonna pick it up them for you to have dinner all together,
Oh,
and then I
nice.
take them
Yeah.
back to them back."
Nice.
And
Yeah.
and my friend asked, "How much do I owe you for all this?" And he said, "Nothing. You don't owe me anything."
Right. Yeah, that's a kind of experience that I was, mentioning is that you get to know, the local people, which otherwise you wouldn't do. Plus, the places are beautiful. They're rustic, but they're very well kept. And they're just it's just, for us it was part of the experience was to be in. We stayed in a hotel that was by a river. I mean, a little inn, and these round stone constructions, or
Yes.
our room was a round construction with a thatch roof.
Hmm.
I mean, it was like fabulous. So we went to sleep with a river, the sound of the river. It was, I mean, just magic. We're not, my husband is an agnostic. I'm an atheist. You don't have to believe in any God to
Okay. Yeah.
appreciate, nature, and to be in communion with nature.
Correct.
So I think that's one of the aspects that the Camino, provides, is that you have these long stretches of, although you're with somebody, you're by yourself, there's all the day to reflect on, whatever it is that is in your mind that day, and just share it with nature, not, no, and yourself. So and that was fabulous, fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah. It is amazing that when you are walking there, you feel like in another world, and you see all people around that is doing the same walking
Right.
for different reasons because everyone has a different reason.
Absolutely.
But you see all the positiveness about that walking that the Camino.
Yes. I mean, one of the things that, like you mentioned, is that you get to meet people, from different parts of the world. So, we walked part of the Camino with a young vet student from Uruguay who had also had a few days between semesters or something, and he decided to do the Camino. So we shared, part of the walk. Then we walked one day with an elderly man who was carrying, I may be wrong, but he said like 40-kilo backpack.
Wow.
And yes, I mean, he was elderly, his legs were bent, and it was, paying a promesa, pagando una promesa.
Okay.
So he was walking, and we just started to walk with him, and it was close to Santiago, but he said he was not going to go all the way to Santiago. So we didn't, it's like, you don't ask what the promesa is for. Of course, this is something between him and his
Someone private.
God, whatever. So you see that, then, you walk. I mean, you're not going to believe us. We're in the middle of, I can't remember, I think, Palas de Rey, and all of a sudden we hear a shriek, Daniel, Daniel Giladi. That's my husband's
Okay.
name.
Okay.
So, I mean, a student of his from Venezuela, but I
Oh,
mind you, somebody that he had taught like, I don't know, 30 years ago
wow.
was walking the Camino. So we walked with him and his partner part of the way. So, you meet all sorts of people. We part of the Camino we did with people from Seville that were doing the Camino on horseback.
Wow.
And oh my God, that was like amazing. So they had this Andalusian horses that would, I mean, And so we did part of the, two of them got off the horse and walked with us. So we had been to Seville for Easter, because that's another thing we do. We go to different parts of the world that celebrate Easter week, because we find that's fascinating. So we had been to Seville, and so we walked with them, and we didn't know. So I said, what are you going to do with the horses? And they said, we have to get to the main plaza in Santiago before 6 a.m. By 6 a.m., we have to be out. We have, because they take the horses to be blessed.
Oh,
I mean, it's like just amazing. And so they went, and they had to be they out there by 6, because then they have to clean, the people
okay.
from the municipality, I guess, have to clean, whatever the horses do, and they had to be out. So that day they were going to, I don't know, get up, I don't know, 2 in the morning or something, to ride into Santiago. Just really interesting stuff.
Wow. So that's probably the way that when people do it by horse, they just have to be very early. That's why most of the time you don't see horses when
Right,
you're walking
right.
because they do it very early.
Very early. Yeah. No, we
Okay.
found some kids that were doing it in motorcycle. I mean, you find all sorts of people doing it for, different reasons, which is part of the charm, of course.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's gonna be possible or not, but it may be that I'm gonna be able to interview a person who did the Camino by a skateboard, those
Oh,
new
wow.
skateboards, and she did it. She had actually got a record Guinness for doing the Camino with a
I bet.
board.
I bet. Oh
So
my God.
and she already said that something that she would like to participate on the podcast, but we haven't get scheduled that yet. So I don't know if
I would like to see that. And if she has a video of something, that would be terrific.
yeah, yeah. So
That would be fun.
there's multiple ways to do the Camino and to enjoy this very nice activity.
Right, right,
Yeah. And then when you were walking the Camino, something that you say, oh, this is called my attention. This is what this person or this situation, something that happened that you say, well, this is something that I'm going to remember forever.
right. Well, so the nature is beautiful.
Okay.
But if to tell you the truth, I think there's like a ravine or something in Palas de Rey where the river crosses. That was very beautiful. But I think that it wasn't. Oh, and something we didn't realize, we went in May. So every time we walked in the woods and we would come out of the woods into a prairie or something,
Mhm.
the fields were covered with flowers.
Oh,
Covered. It was like magic. And we didn't expect that, because you see a lot of roses. People plant a lot of roses in their on their gardens.
okay.
But this is just wildflowers. So you would walk out of the woods, a lot of eucalyptus woods,
Okay.
and you would walk out of the woods and they smell terrific. It rained for like we had rain for 3 days, and that was magic. So we had really good, clothes for rain, and the rain with the eucalyptus, I mean, the smell was fabulous. And then you would walk out onto a field, and the field could be yellow or blue or pink, covered with flowers. So that was like magic, like magic. But I think, to me, that as a non-religious person, um, just to see the dedication, because you see all these crosses that have been laid, on the route from early medieval times. And then you have all these little, I don't want to call them churches, they're like little chapels along the way. Um, and you have to stop and think to yourself, I mean, this is like amazing that for all these centuries, people from all over, in this case Europe, because you have Camino from really all over Europe, that took the time and the dedication to, because one thing is to, walk and because you want to see the remains of the saint, fine, but that you would stop and then take the time to build out of stone or that, a cross, and you see the cross with these medieval Christs
Yeah.
that are like sort of chubby. And I mean, it's like, I don't know, that to me, it always is a point of reflection
Correct.
that, like I said, all these people from different countries, from different cultures, somehow found the time and the interest, had the interest to do this, to build a part of what is now, a cultural icon
Correct.
along the way. So that, I mean, it's very interesting. You see Roman bridges. You cross a few Roman bridges, and that's impressive. I mean, this is first century, right? And you
Yes.
say, oh my God. But that has a utilitarian purpose. So if you want to cross the river because you want to invade a country, you build a bridge in those times.
Yeah.
But these things, just to see the little chapels that were built just to reflect and to pray,
Correct.
that to me was, as a non-believer, that was really, really impressive. And the route is filled with that, and they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. Some of them are better preserved than others, but they're doing a pretty good job of preserving that as part of their culture. So that was very beautiful. And then in one of those little chapels, and I can't remember in which town, there is something I had never seen. And if somebody, that sees the podcast or maybe knows about it, I'd be interested to know. I saw a Christ in a position that I have never seen.
Okay.
And it is a Christ, on the cross with one arm out of the nail.
Okay.
And so, of course, that's physically impossible. This guy could not have been there. But the fact that an artist, a local artist, this is not a well-known piece of art, it's not in a museum, it's in this little chapel. And I have a little, of course, I brought a little stamp. I don't know if your
Oh.
viewers can see it. So
Oh.
look at that. So
Yeah.
this is a Christ that has one arm off the nail. And I
Wow.
just, I just thought, yeah, that's what I thought. This is like unbelievable that a local person was creative enough to do this. For him, Christ's suffering was this.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was very impressive. So yeah, that's something that I was so impressed with that I
Yeah.
brought a little stamp with me home. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't know what the intention was of doing
right.
uh, like price like that, having price like that, but maybe a reason for
Right,
doing
absolutely. And, I asked the person because there's usually, if it's a spot where they stamp your passport, there's usually somebody in the little chapel, and there was somebody, and an older person in the chapel, but he didn't know the name of the artist or anything. But I thought it was very impressive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and what about the food through the Camino? So anything that you like it more than other dishes? So what do you think about?
Right. Well, I'm vegetarian.
Okay,
And we travel a lot to Spain. I have family, and I travel every year to San Sebastian with my kids and now my grandchild. We travel every summer for 2 weeks to San Sebastian. So I know, but it's becoming better. But their concept of vegetarian is very different, from, I don't know, from what you find at least in the United States where I live. And so for me, my husband ate everything and anything. And he loved the food.
okay,
I ended up eating fish every night because I don't know why in their mind, the people were very nice, and I said, just prepare a whole bunch of vegetables. But I think they thought that was not enough food. So they ended up serving me fish also. And I didn't want to disappoint. So I ate a little fish and I ate the vegetables. The food is completely, I mean, you feel like they've taken the vegetables out of the garden that same afternoon. So Everything is like, you don't have to say, is it organic? It's organic. I mean, everything is like fresh and fabulous. So delicious. And I don't know how you did, but we didn't get up very early. The joke was if there was a German couple or something and we went down to breakfast, the people in the inn would say, "Oh, the Germans left like 2 hours ago." And okay, so we had breakfast, which was very nice, cheeses, and they had eggs and fresh bread, which is I love. And the coffee is excellent. Now in Spain, the coffee is fabulous, so you can have great coffee everywhere. And then we walked down the trail, and of course, we'd find the Germans drinking beer along the way. They rushed out to have their beer. So yeah, so the food I think is abundant. The tortillas are delicious. I mean, I would kill for a good, tortilla de patatas anytime.
Okay.
That to me is like the best. The best meal that I can have is a good tortilla with a fresh baguette. That is heaven to me. So that is abundant and delicious.
And what about the pastries? Do you like the pastries?
I'm not that big of a fan. No, and I try and watch my diet. So sugar is yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not that keen.
And then the coffee, do you like the coffee there?
I love the coffee. It used to be years. I don't know when it changed, but it used to be years that you couldn't drink coffee in Spain, nor France for that matter. I mean, we come from Venezuela, right? And the
Yeah.
coffee is fabulous in Venezuela. So I mean, the only in when I was growing up, the only coffee that was better than Venezuela was you had to go to Italy to get, better espresso. And all of a sudden in Spain, years, you can have great coffee, the espresso, the café con leche is delicious if you drink milk. I mean, it's really fabulous. And, everywhere you go, they know how to prepare good coffee. So it's great.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, but then now here in the US, it's not the same coffee that in Spain, but they have also the cortados in Starbucks.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, you say that you walk through 6 days. That's the time that it took, plus the 3 other days that
I
you walk.
think I think that it took us, I think we could do the math. I think we walked around 20 kilometers a day, no more. We walked, I think we started maybe 10 in the morning and we were done by 5.
Okay.
We didn't stop for lunch. I mean, we stopped for a coffee, or maybe if we were hungry, then we would, have a tortilla and a coffee or a beer someplace. But it would
Okay.
be something quick, just a little snack. So we basically walked, I would say 7 hours,
Okay.
something like that. I don't think maybe we walked 8 hours one day, slowly, slowly, just enjoying being there, you
Okay. And
know.
when you travel from the US to Spain, h- how do you travel? Which airport do you went?
I think we went to Madrid and then I think we flew to Burgos.
Okay.
I think we flew to Burgos and I guess our taxi driver picked us up. I can't remember. I think it must have been,
Okay.
I can't remember taking a train or anything. I think this guy must have picked us up. And
Okay.
actually, he didn't take us to Sarria. He took us to the town before.
Okay.
And I don't know why we didn't stay there. But we didn't sleep in the town before that. I could look it up, but I can't remember. And we went then to Sarria. That, by the way, has my husband. I was telling him that I was going to do the interview, and he said he's so funny. I mean, we've been married 50 years, right? And he knows I'm vegetarian. He says, "Do you remember that great steakhouse in Sarria?" What? So he remembers a fabulous meal. He said, "Oh my God, I had the biggest T-bone steak in my life there." I can't remember, but apparently, he says beef is very good in Spain.
Okay.
He's,
And you remember the prices for the meals?
oh my God, yeah, just Forget about it. It's like ridiculous. I mean, just ridiculous. I think that when we hired the when we booked the hotels, we included the dinner. So
Okay.
I couldn't tell you, how much for the room. I mean, it was like we would, room and board, and the
Mm,
board would be no dinner and then the breakfast. Right. That's
okay.
what we did. But then, in Santiago, we stayed a few days before walking to Finisterre, and prices are, I mean, you can't believe the prices. I mean, it's like, you don't know if you order like a bottle of wine, you don't know if they're charging you for one glass or for the whole bottle. It's like so inexpensive, just so inexpensive.
And it still
And
is like that. So the prices, for example, that I remember when you have the menu of the Peregrino. So you have like the entry, then the main plate, and then after you have the dessert, and you have also the drink. All that for about 18 euros.
no, no, yeah,
And it's a good size, good portion of
right,
meal. So where here in
right.
the US, you can eat
No,
something
no,
very
no,
good
no. I
for that
mean,
price.
not only that, but also, the quality.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can get a cheap meal here in the States, but you're gonna, like I say, if you go to McDonald's, or I'm sorry, McDonald's, if you go to these places, you're not eating food, you're eating an industrial product.
Yeah.
This is not what food is meant to be. So what can I tell you? It's like, you're eating, like you're eating a piece of plastic, I'm sorry to say. So I think the comparison is not only price wise, but like I said, I mean, you're eating all this food that is being raised locally. I mean, you're eating crops, local crops. Because, I would ask, and these are all local crops, so you're supporting your local economy. You're leaving a small carbon footprint because your food is not being transported from Australia, and it's fresh and it's
Yeah.
organic, and it's so you're giving your body a gift also.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You mentioned that you're vegetarian, but when you arrived to Melide, you remember in Melide that is the capital of the octopus?
Yes. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Well, I can't eat octopus, after I saw that film, my octopus friend or something. My God,
Okay.
they're so smart. No, no, no. So, no. Yeah.
So that's really nice. Well, and what advice would you tell to somebody that have not walked the Camino? What would you tell to that person?
I would tell the person, just definitely pack lightly. You don't need any clothes, you're not going to impress anybody. Get the best shoes so I mean, we walk a lot, like I said, and I think shoes are the key part. And I think that if you're not used to hiking a lot, get a little boot, not a big boot. Get something that holds your ankle, like a little booty, and something that is water resistant. And don't buy it 2 days before you go. Buy them a few months and wear them in your house, outside that. Just wear them and see if they feel comfortable. And they have to feel snug. Some people make the mistake of buying them too big because they say, "Oh, my foot is gonna." No, no, no. They have to feel. Wear socks that you're gonna use and wear them. I think good shoes are key. I have a lot of friends that started the Camino, and I have a friend who couldn't complete it because she had so many blisters that it was just impossible. I think also depends on the time of the year. I think she went in the summer. So I
Okay.
think, when we went, it wasn't hot at all, which is great. So that would also be an advice, pick your, if you can afford it. Some people just have the summer free. But if you can afford another time of the year, go either in October, September, October, or go April or June, or May, like we went. So I think the time of year is also very important. And just go with an open mind, just go. I mean, if you're go for a religious motive, then you're done. You're pretty much, this is something in your agenda as a Christian pilgrim. So I don't have to tell you anything. But if you're not, like in our case, you know, just be open to talk to different people who are doing this for different reasons, and you'll definitely learn something.
Yeah, I
That's,
mean,
what I would say.
well, thank you very much for all those advices, and thank you very much for being here today with us, sharing with pilgrims about all that experience that you had when you were walking the Camino. And thank you, pilgrims, for watching us today. And also remember to leave your comments on the comment section for future interviews to consider those comments from you. And thank you very much. And buen camino.
Thank you, Efraín, and buen camino to everybody.